Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. We have got all the comrades in the chat, and we are all here super excited for Glorbo. Folks, are you excited for Glorbo? He's coming. Have you heard?
All hail Glorbo.
Have you heard the good news of Glorbo?
I already have a Glorbo tattoo on my tramp stamp area. This is the number one gaming drop I've ever heard of.
I've fully embraced Glorbo lifestyle and will be donating all my earthly goods to the Church of Scientology in his name.
Glorbo is here to shake up the World of Warcraft meta. At least that is according to the AI bot that generated this news piece for, I don't actually know which.
It's called zleague.gg.
zleague.gg. Okay, totally legit.
That's a real reputable source right there.
It's where I get all of my gaming reporting because they know what's hot in the streets.
Weird. I get all of my gaming reporting straight from Facebook. The true purveyors of knowledge.
The highlights from this article are: players express excitement for Glorbo's arrival and its potential impact on the game, as well as they also had reservations about the mandatory item Click Clack and its effect on casual players. Yeah, so this is just coming from your grade A Redditors, just in the meme trenches, spamming this AI bot with all this metadata to influence its reporting, and lo and behold, the machine learning ain't so learned. We've easily duped.
We've come full circle to when Microsoft released that AI bot onto Twitter for like 24 hours and it became a Nazi in like 10.
That's standard. That's standard.
Or like how I think it was ChatGPT recently is like 2% as accurate on math problems as it was like a couple months ago, because of how many times people have like fucked with it, like trying to do math homework.
Hilarious. My personal favorite is that there's appreciation for previous game changes, such as the inclusion of Klaxi as a playable race. And I just like that they, that just, I don't know. It feels like there's just some racism against the Klaxi race. Like, I don't even know about the Klaxis, but I mean, I don't think they're treated
I don't
well.
either, but I do know that Under Armour had a marketing campaign about Click Clack. So maybe if Under Armour supports it, it's got to be racist.
Probably true. This
Under Armour is an official sponsored brand for cops.
Yes.
So
and The Rock.
It tracks. It all tracks. But yeah, Andrew, you brought this very tickling story to our attention. But it's like, reminiscent of some this is a not a real website, basically, right? But like,
yeah,
they're doing this at actual quote unquote reputable game news sources. So we someone else had posted this one earlier that we like tagged when you posted the Glorbo story for us. But all tech tangential media is obviously gung-ho on AI, and this has basically been writing on the wall for quite some time now. But this was like this happened at the end of June, where Geo Media, the company that owns Gizmodo, Kotaku, Quartz, Jezebel, Deadspin,
all the good ones.
Yeah, we're all getting even better by rolling out a quote modest test of AI content on its sites, all of which was had been kind of preceded by a shit ton of layoffs at some of these various companies.
Insert Mark Wahlberg. What? No.
And not to mention the broader actors and screenwriters guild strikes again because these streamers and movie companies also want to use AI to write our stories.
What was the thing I saw? It was like they were gonna pay extras like $150 or $200.
They're gonna stick them in the Kojima soul stealing device and use their likeness for infinity,
and then never have to pay extras ever again.
My favorite part about those contracts like that they use, the one that I'm familiar with was from American Idol. It was like the example contract we used in my class.
Definitely not predatory.
Yeah, definitely not predatory.
Well, yeah, American Idol was aired on Fox. What could possibly go wrong?
And it's their ability to use your likeness, blah blah blah, throughout like the world and the universe for eternity is the phrase.
That's the standard language, right? I've seen that phrase popped up a lot.
Universe.
At my company,
gotta cover all your bases.
Everything, literally everything. We might have space travel like the MCU at some point, and if we're gonna have movies on the Skrull planet, we gotta be able to fucking use your likeness there too.
And like if they don't set that up, someone else might use your likeness on an interstellar billboard, and they're not going to be making money off of it.
They're not going to profit.
My company, when they were bringing the marketing team in, that was the waiver we all had to sign, was that they could use our likeness and the images like ad infinitum.
Yeah,
I've seen that phrasing pop up quite a lot recently.
Yeah, it's my fave. It's like it's such great contract language, great drafting.
I
really
can
thinking
use
through
it
all
forever, and it's just the number 4 E backwards VER.
Forever. No, I this is also we got to give our props to Redditors. We are not always kind to that community on this podcast.
They don't deserve kindness.
they did get a win here,
and that's coming from the group
from a Redditor.
Well, it's because he knows that they're all masochists.
Oh no, they're way. I mean, I've seen things on there that I'm a filter for you guys. I filter things to you. I filter the sickness. I don't give you dolphins and fish that I saw this morning.
Well, we thank you for your
what
service.
Those dolphins do to the fish.
Oh god.
Yeah. So one of my friends who I like co-stream with every weekend, folks go check out Blind Neil on Twitch. He was asking me like we were just talking about something we're talking just about like this is a tangent, but the Reddit mod situation from last month or whatever, and like if I was familiar with it, I'm like tangentially, because I'm lucky enough to have that Reddit filter. I experience a curated Reddit experience vicariously through Matt. So it's like saluting everything he does for us in the content mines.
Oh, my absolute favorite, to continue this tangent just before we end it. Obviously, there's still been drama around, third-party API charging from Reddit and all the stuff. That's what everyone was mad about, that Reddit was going to charge third-party services for using the API. Reddit brought back r/place, which is a thing where you can dedicate time to like make pretty things and like make pixel art onto a big thing, and at the end of the month.
Oh, I remember that, where it was like communities,
yep.
like,
and people have been writing like coerced efforts
space
into writing like fuck the CEO and stuff like that, or like his name or whatever, like Spez or something. And I was like, oh, you're showing him by using engagement on his platform to do the thing that he wanted you to do.
Is Serena Williams' husband does he still own and run Reddit?
I believe so. I don't think he sold it.
Chunk.
Yeah. But I don't think he's like sold all of his stake. I'm pretty sure he still runs Reddit.
Either way,
Alexis Ohanahan or something like that.
How people's protest was using exactly what they were, being baited into using, and doing exactly what they were being told to do.
Owns 5% of Reddit.
Yeah.
So what does Tencent not have like a 5% stake in?
Yeah, he's not.
Check your social security number. Check your birth certificate. There's a small Tencent owns 4% of your likeness.
Is he not the chair? Is he not like the head of the company anymore?
I don't believe so. It's not completely clear.
Either way, that's a deviation.
Yeah.
It's more discussion about Reddit than ever needed to be had.
But I do think, this is a fun way to fight back against this bullshit theme and change we're seeing as these companies want, like Geo want to make reporting AI, and it's just cool. We'll fool them into just being completely useless, even more so than they already
were. They took the complaint of like writers and journalists wanting to make more money to like live more, like, oh, like we'll get rid of that like need whatsoever, and we won't have a job for it anymore. Like that was their solution.
It's been their solution to, their unionizing efforts is like, yeah, let's fire union members and replace them with an AI bot to write listicles.
Yeah. I'm just excited for when an AI bot gets fooled into writing an article about how the next Mario game will include fascism as its core tenet.
He is Italian, so
it's part of only the northern Italians. Only the northern Italians. The Southerners had no part in that.
This sounds like no true Scotsman type discussion.
Well, Glorbo is here to stay. Glorbo will rule us all. If our
to start attending church,
the Church
Scientology,
the Church of Glorbo will rise out of the ashes. Where everything is getting, everything in the media landscape is being foreclosed upon, whether it's corporate consolidation or media. The closing of media around machine learning and all this shit, or the removal of access to the fucking content that you own, which brings us to Mike's story that he brought for us. Like, what
you can just like start and end it just by saying French and then
oui.
It's actually the theme for our next two stories, and it's not exclusively
exclusive to the French.
Yeah.
Have fun editing that one, talking at the same words at the same time, Matt. But yeah, so the story, it's something that we've talked about multiple times on the pod, but just the fear that with going fully digital or trending that way, that gaming companies are going to start to rip our games out from underneath us because we don't have physical copies to hold on to, and that's setting aside the different issue of
they've been doing that for the past couple of years,
they've
more
been
and more
it.
frequently.
They've been doing
especially these live service games.
Well, yeah,
it's like was it last year's Sony State of Play? One of the big air quotes launches was the Gundam Overwatch game. And now this year it's getting shut down in November. So it got like 1 year of usage.
Yeah, well, and that one's slightly different. And that's what I was going to like go into is like those games that get shut down, but, are largely like free to play games at times, or, the servers get shut down. But this is like, you buy your multiple copies of Assassin's Creed to just sit on your Ubisoft account. And all of a sudden one day when you finally get the free time to, go beat the Templars, your games are gone because you haven't, played on your Ubisoft
the Templars
account.
Took them from you.
I mean, it is the Templars stealing our gaming from us. It is true. We need to become assassins, the assassins, and take on the Templars. We need
in Minecraft, in games,
not real life.
Assassin's Creed, the movie, the game, in reality.
Yeah, but so Ubisoft and some other companies are now like taking the next step that we had been fearing, and it's like games that you purchase that are still, live and viable games to play getting ripped away because Ubisoft decided, oh, you haven't been playing very much lately.
Your account's been too inactive, and we don't want to
Yeah.
store the data anymore.
Say,
we don't want to store the data, and we want to make you repurchase.
Do you think this is a server thing where they're being like or like a database manage, like their excuse? It's like, oh, that's like it's too expensive to maintain it's to
data
maintain
for people who aren't using it.
Yeah. And give us physical fucking discs.
Or is it something to do with like, this is a way for them to try to juice like daily active users or monthly active users, which
these companies Battle Pass to keep your games
are obsessed with.
Well, Battle Pass to keep your games. It's going to be the new thing. I'm so glad I'm ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, Ubisoft makes you pay $9.99 a month to
imagine hitting Sunday and seeing that there's network issues and be like, no, I can't get my weeklies. If I don't play my weeklies, I lose the game forever.
Take it away.
Well, that's what they're gonna do with the Assassin's Creed Infinity, right? They're moving these things from, again, physical media that you can hold to these platforms that you participate in.
Platform economy, baby. But yeah, so this is definitely the next step, and like you said, Ben, combination of server space, wanting to juice numbers.
Yeah, they can make whatever excuse they want.
And it's probably both.
Yeah, I think it's all three of those things. That
I mean, these companies would love nothing more than for you to buy something and then never use it. You are the perfect customer if you do that.
And then when you decide the one time you want to use it because you finally, have free time to play the game you want to play, you got to repurchase it again because Ubisoft canceled your account, shut you down.
So my question about like the technical aspect of this is like, I mean, Ubisoft throws in this bullshit with like, even if you buy a game outside of their dedicated marketplace, they have to, this is on PC, they have to work through the fucking launcher. What's it called now? Uconnect. It used to be
Ubisoft
something.
Connect.
It used to be Origin, if I remember correctly.
No, that was EA.
That was EA.
EA's had like 4 or 5 different iterations of their bullshit.
No, Ubisoft's
and
always
Origin
been
sucks.
Ubisoft Connect, I think.
Origin is basically malware.
Yeah. It used to have another name. It's Ubisoft Connect. And so my question is, though, it's like I didn't purchase my game through Ubisoft. Say like the one that I can last remember playing was South Park Stick of Truth. Like I own through Epic because I'm pretty sure I got it for free. Own it through Epic, but it has to launch through Ubisoft Connect. So it's like technically I have an Ubisoft account. If I don't think there'd be an issue there. If that goes inactive, does that game become unplayable? Is it maybe something like just like I lose my save file?
I would say you would lose your save file, like because you own it through Epic. You could.
It would also depend on the agreement with Epic and Ubisoft, and it would probably be in the EULA agreement.
Yeah, I'm sure, but my guess would be that because Epic would probably make a stink if they're gonna block people out of Ubisoft games bought through Epic or Ubisoft games bought through Steam. So I'm sure at that point you're just gonna lose your save file.
Epic's also have no business right now to be losing like users, games, or like usage.
Yeah, so I'm sure your save file will be dumped. You'll still have access to the game. You just might have to create a new account at that point. But if you bought Assassin's Creed Valhalla through Ubisoft, bye-bye.
Which like I kind of want to be like I kind of want to be like, if you did that, if you're using the Ubisoft marketplace, nobody deserves that, but it's like maybe you kind of deserve it.
I feel like the Ubisoft marketplace is designed exactly like a casino to funnel confused old people into it.
No, that's great. And I've been one of those confused old people because I definitely bought Valhalla on sale through Ubisoft. But all my other ones are through Steam.
Like you might want to keep logging in and hitting your weeklies so you don't.
I don't think you have to actually
Valhalla
hit a number of like time played. It's literally you just got to keep logging into the account.
The thing
imagine they set a minimum. They're like, you need to play a minimum of 12 hours a week.
Crazy.
That's what they
to
want.
Keep your account active.
Yeah. Now
get us in the mines.
Yep. Now it's we might as well be playing Axie Infinity at that point. Let me get some sort of.
That's an interesting. It's an interesting dovetail. Like no one brought this up as a story, but it's a kind of a relevant point. All the shit with the Diablo patch that has
yes.
pissed everybody off. So I was like trying to like work it out in my head. It's like, so taking the specific example of Diablo, where they've like nerfed every character, they've made the gameplay more difficult, the need for grinding
at the start of a new season, you start a brand new character.
It's like over. Like their professed reasoning is that like you're playing through this too fast. You are burning through content too fast. So it's like basically we want to slow you down. We want to make this harder so you're playing more. Oh. And it's not like it's a traditional ad revenue type space, right? Where playtime, daily active users, all that type of shit would translate.
They're not going the Fortnite model where they want you in there as long as possible.
Yeah, it doesn't
that's
translate.
How they get you monetized.
It doesn't translate directly to that monetization, right? It's a little bit more insidious than that, because in Diablo 4, say not the case for Diablo Immortal, the microtransactions are all cosmetic and that type of shit, right? So it's not like they're doing like, we've nerfed you here, you need to pay $10 in order to get these stat boosts back. Temporarily, of course. That's not what they're doing. That would be ridiculous and outrageous.
Okay, that is what I thought they were doing.
No, they are not doing that. They are not doing that. But it's more insidious than that. It's like, as I'm trying to work this out in my head, it's like, why are these developers trying to boost playtime? Why is that something that they're concerned about? Because it kind of would go against what you were saying, Matt, where it's like, in a lot of ways, they would like you to pay for the game and never fucking touch it, because that way they don't have to dedicate time and resources to support and balancing and all that shit. They actually kind of, they want you to buy it, but don't want you to play it. That makes sense. So, but it kind of flies in the face of, why are they trying to increase playtime? That is an industry wide trend, which is like why.
Which for games like WoW makes sense, or like Final Fantasy 14, because those are MMOs on subscription services.
Yeah, monthly subscription
strung out. Whereas Diablo is distinctly not. I have a conspiracy theory that it's Game Pass related.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but Diablo is Game Pass.
Put Diablo on Game Pass, and it's one of the things they want to.
Is it not Game Pass? It's not Game Pass currently.
Not yet, I don't think.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a day one.
Of those games could be. Because the deal hasn't been signed.
But so what I have, it still comes down to microtransactions. It still comes down to the monetization practices, right? But it is all about the weird psychology stuff that's going on, because they're basically what it's psychology and statistics, because it's all about like, yes, we're not like mandating that, or like putting these things like where we're nerfing you and you have to pay money to get this shit back. It's more like, the more hours we can put you in this ecosystem,
the statistical likelihood of you spending money goes
the
up.
More likelihood there is that you will spend money on something.
Definitely.
Whereas if you burn through it, and the chances are just lower. That's just statistics.
They've probably done a whole probability chart.
Oh yeah.
Of like you lose X amount of people, but the people you keep spend more money and outpace the people who leaving.
Yeah, we know whales are what drive these systems.
Well, everything, even content creators, like for the large part, some of like the mid-sized ones, whales carry them. I don't understand how these people have,
because companies pay the whales to do things to create trends.
Definitely in some cases.
Theory about GTA Online.
Sure, at that level, sure, but even like these people that are memberships on YouTube or subscription on Twitch that are just dumping the content creators like, $250 a day. It's fucking crazy.
I do just love the idea of these black hat psychologists just like sitting in their room, like just thinking of the most insidious ways to get people addicted to gaming.
Not psychologists. I fucking like accountants and like insurance adjusters and like actuarial tables. Like those are the people that are fucking doing
I'm
it.
picturing
like
that when you
the
open the
trends.
door to
I
their
think it's
set of the
both.
offices,
Yeah,
it immediately cuts to black and white like Oppenheimer. And they all got cigarettes hanging out their mouth, and they're wearing flat brimmed hats.
No, you're right. They're definitely hiring actuaries and like statistical and analytics staff to do things too. But I do think they also have like psychologists on board.
Psychologists that used to be actuaries.
Yeah. Like psychologists used to help people with gambling addictions, and now it's fuck that shit.
It's like I gotta secure my bag because now I have a gambling addiction, and there's no expert who can.
The state keeps shutting down psychological help, so now I'm gonna go where the money is, and that is creating more need for psychological help. Going to create what I need.
Yeah, because there's plenty of data that like gambling addictions and stuff is like is one of the most like what's the right word for it? But it's like
harmful.
Harmful, yes. Well, I mean, it has the highest rate of like suicide.
But the dopamine hit is crazy. I think that's
like,
what you're
not
trying.
Even on winning. It's the dopamine hit.
It's the speculative part.
Yeah. It's crazy to me.
Just getting amped up. 5-team parlay
tonight, I'm in it. I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'll never have to work again.
Yeah, it's just the edging of it gets them off.
Three parts of the 5-team parlay in, and you're ahead, and you could have pulled out and made good money, but you stuck through and lost it all.
Just need to, bad money chasing, good money chasing bad's never the right strategy.
And now a word from our sponsor, DraftKings.
I wish, man.
But that's like, but that is definitely what like Ubisoft is trying to do, right? It's like if we force you to have to log into our fucking shitty marketplace, you'll see the flashy Assassin's Creed Valhalla selling to you for $10,
75% off.
You're like, damn, that's a fucking hot deal. And you're
my favorite is they always will advertise the % off if it's like the Ultimate Edition or something like that, but they won't show the price first. It'll be like Assassin's Creed Valhalla Ultimate Edition, 80% off. You're like, oh, that's a big deal.
Ultimate God Ragnarok, Odin Ragnarok Edition. Yeah, it's still $100.
But you get a steel case.
A steel case for no game.
Yeah, a steel case with a code in it. With a piece of paper.
That's my Joker moment.
Oh, you know what? I almost had a Joker moment. This is a completely kind of it's kind of tangentially related, but there's this like absolute sicko op-ed piece in some UK publication where it's like physical games media is dying, and here's why that's a good thing.
That's the boy bros. These are the same people
I hate
who
the British
themselves Brexit was good for them.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I just declared war on like a minor inconsequential country.
Those bog people need to go.
They're basically New Jersey of Europe.
Ohio.
Just stick to your fucking eels and incest.
Jelly eels, bro.
That's the title of the episode right there. Eels and incest.
I'm gonna have to write that down. All right, so that's the French for you, but it's like I was saying to kind of preface all this is like these are the trends, right? The foreclosure of this space to just juice numbers, juice sales, and further insulate these markets within themselves. We see that
short-term bumps, man. Short-term bumps.
So we see that with the consolidation and like the purchasing of Activision Blizzard, which is basically now all but a done deal, as we basically have been saying from the beginning, as it would always inevitably be.
It was preordained in the stars.
Yeah, if you look up in the night sky, it just literally says Microsoft can buy whatever the fuck
Bobby
they
Kotick.
want.
It's just Bobby
because they literally wrote that into the stars with their money.
This was Matt's story. Like, you know, amidst all the hubbub around the absolute bungle that the FTC, you know, managed to, you know, to just kind of flop onto the table.
Yeah, focusing so heavily on Sony is a very tough choice, because you have the immediate counterpoint of Nintendo doesn't use Activision Blizzard games and they are fine.
Their case was so weak, but like, yeah, so the hubbub created by like what is essentially the clearing of this deal, you know, Xbox has been able to sneak in a couple interesting things that again are just speaking more towards how they are using their kind of untouchable status to further foreclose their own space. So Matt, what do you got for us?
I mean, we start out with like the ending of the friends and family plan that they had just started.
Oh my god. Like, what the fuck?
When did that start? I thought that started like this year.
It was just a pilot. Like I thought it was just a pilot program. I thought it was a pilot program. I thought it was like they're testing it out, and now it's like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We tested it, and we're not going to do it.
I have a whole theory around that based on like, if you've seen the numbers since Netflix had put out their no password sharing update, Netflix has gone up in engagement and subscriptions.
Yeah, it has. It has unfortunately worked for them the way they wanted it to.
Which means every company who has a subscription is going to slowly but surely work their way towards one user, one screen, one device, one household.
What a great timeline.
Yeah.
It's the one device. It's the one device thing that pisses me the fuck off.
Yes, it's so inconvenient.
Even Microsoft Office, you get 5 devices.
Yeah, they're slowly going to be paring that back. Just wait. It's going to be Microsoft 365. It's going to include your Windows usage.
Oh my god, fuck.
You're going to pay by week. There's going to be no option for.
And Microsoft is not too powerful. Microsoft is not too powerful. They do not have too much control of the tech landscape.
Yeah, no.
Anybody telling you otherwise? Anyone telling you otherwise is a pony.
As long as they don't hurt the consumer, as long as the consumer gets.
How is that not the definition of hurting the consumer?
Yeah, like hurting the consumer at this point means they're gonna come to you. They have to come to your house, tie you up, and sodomize you. And that point will protect you.
Yeah, but you asked for it because you paid for the EULA agreement.
I want to roll back really quick to like the FTC shit. It's like you were saying, like, yeah, their case was really bad because they were focusing on how they were basically doing what they should be doing and arguing that, like, you know, how this is affecting the markets is going to lessen competition for the market.
They had no focus whatsoever on the fact that Microsoft owns legitimately the PC gaming market. Sorry, Linux fans, but it's like not that big yet.
So Mike, you have to my point, it's like, Mike, you have you know, crowed about this forever, that, you know, that's maybe what the FTC should be looking at and be regulating, but the only thing they actually care about and can actually you know, make action on is how it affects consumers. And they basically had no argument there about how this is going to raise prices for consumers when you know, half or more of, you know, publishing is done through Game Pass, where they can raise the price of Game Pass, where
they don't understand the like, you know, the people. I'm convinced that, you know, one, just people that work in government are stupid anyways. As someone who has worked in government, I have a and then 2, video games are so, and like the video game market itself is so foreign to most normies, and there's a hell of a lot of normies in the FTC, and, you know, they could do as much quote unquote research as they want on the market.
They're complaining.
They'll never have a true understanding.
That's that shooty game that my nephew likes. What?
Yeah,
you can't sell that much.
exactly.
My racist nephew likes.
Yeah, they're never gonna have
Then
like,
I supply him
full
every winter.
understanding. They're never gonna be even able to do the analysis that we're doing. So, you know, that that ends up not being their focus. Also, the other thing with these investigative bodies, and just with courts and judges in general, your litigator or your advocate is truly so important because they set tone for what's discussed. So Microsoft making the shifting the focus to how it's shifting the focus away from if they have this control over Game Pass, they can raise the prices and it's going to affect the consumer. They can control the narrative of what's being discussed, that they're not, Sony's still going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Consumers are still going to have access to these games, yada yada. They could do their whole PR spin.
Yeah, we're not keeping it to consoles anymore, guys.
Yeah,
we're friends. We're helping everyone get it as long as they get it through
we debate
service.
We debate the truth behind those statements, but Xbox and their lawyers did what the FTC and what the courts need. They framed the argument around with I think a spurious argument, but saying that like this is good for consumers. We are their whole PR line, as Matt just riffed on, is that we want to give gamers access to these games no matter where they are.
We're gonna put COD on Nintendo Switch, guys. we're gonna make the modern COD games play on a 2014 tablet.
No, and that's the big thing to me. They set the narrative, and investigative bodies, though they do investigations, they're not like they're doing investigations based on the documents that they've like subpoenaed or gathered from Microsoft, from Sony, et cetera, et cetera. They're not necessarily like going out, they're doing case law research and stuff like that. But again, they're not doing research in order to understand like the market on the ground, how it affects the consumer. They're not going to then bring in research that is counter to the narrative or like not related to the narrative that's being put forth. They're only going to work within that narrative. That that's the story they're telling as well. And so
well, and to add to that, they preordained. Yeah, and to add to that, they can't like, I don't know, Mike, correct me if I'm misspeaking here, but like they also can't just, because Microsoft's not giving them information that's saying, in 5 years we have plans to raise Game Pass subscription prices by X% a year, and then there won't be even the ability to purchase a game outright. Like they can't really even reach those conclusions because they would need something to tell them that those things are going to happen. And while we all know that's probably the route things are going to go, the court system itself,
every entertainment medium that has been subscriptionified, and what those subscriptions turn into.
Well, but they can't. The court can't do that.
And the other thing is like, even Sony's advocates, attorneys, whatever, that are through the media like pushing against them, they're running within the same narrative framework as well. So Andrew, like you said, they're not going to be able to jump to these conclusions. They definitely have the ability to, if they could,
I'm pretty positive at this point. What I understand about federal judges is that they are a horse with blinders on, who only sees things one way.
Well, I mean, this is an administrative
anything past that.
This is an administrative body. They could do their own analysis to say, like, within the market, we expect why wouldn't you do X, Y, or Z? But
would you agree to not do X, Y, or Z for X amount of years to do this deal?
Yeah, they make the argument. They're like, "Oh, it doesn't make economic sense to remove Call of Duty from PlayStation." And it's like, do we not?
Yet they immediately only signed a deal that puts it in for 10 years only.
It's like, well, that's what they've been doing everywhere. But it's like, do we not understand that, like, the Amazon model? You operate at a loss for some years, and if any company on the planet can fucking do that, it's Microsoft.
Literally.
It's all about operating at a loss to
drive people to your
corner a market,
but they're never going to operate at a loss. You know,
they've been operating at a loss for like
their
15
gaming
years.
arm, their gaming arm has, yes,
yeah. But I mean, that's
like,
what I mean. Like, they're in general, they're not going to operate at at a loss. They're, like you said, they're such a big corporation that they could eat that somewhat.
Yeah, I reiterate for the crowd at home once again, the largest tech company in the world.
Yeah, by like an
order of magnitude.
Yeah, but like it's not
like
close.
I see this as a failure, not only of like the larger like antitrust system. We already knew that was doo-doo dog water, but like
surprise.
Yeah, but you got to have someone in that fucking office that can like push the analysis further than what they're doing, that could push them out of the narrative, especially in this like there was, especially in law school, there was so much juicing up Linda Khan.
Well, they took the Call of Duty bait. They took that as the dangly fish that was showed out in front, and they didn't at all talk about King, who's the real money portion behind why Microsoft would want to get into this conglomerate.
Definitely in the short term.
Yeah, I think this is just like an all-around failure of the government here to protect us gamers.
No, it was embarrassing.
Demographic.
Speaking of all-around failure,
it truly is. It's like it's on its face. It's just so disgusting and gross. Like how does that not raise any flags? And again, Linda Khan was supposed to be this like progressive, help the consumer. She's going to do great things. She
on a like straight losing streak, hasn't won
She's
anything.
only taken L's.
But in her mind, probably not L's. Probably wins.
Cleveland Browns
she's a Democrat
of
that
FTC.
is like,
it's very much strikes me as a Liz Warren era Democrat,
yes.
And it was very much like, we're making we've got the policies, we're making incremental change. These losses are in themselves small victories that, when taken together, equal maybe one middling size.
You're hired,
folks. You may not be able to play the games you've historically owned, but you will be able to play Call of Duty for the next 10 years. So, take what you can get.
Well, I mean, and also, low key, I think the U.S. government had some underlying, secret agenda that they wanted.
Well, yeah, because the U.S. government wants you on a Microsoft platform, which is an American company.
Exactly, American,
and then they can control the propagandizing of you.
Yep. And so that when we go to,
Pentagon's got to control it's got to control that propaganda arm.
They're working on next year's storyline already.
It's so much easier for them to have to only monitor Microsoft's live chat and to have to work through Japan to get.
No, I totally think
Xbox's live chat though.
We need Microsoft to have Call of Duty. None of this,
let's not. We are making a joke about that, but like Microsoft is a huge partner of the U.S. government in like every facet.
Man, they're gonna get that HoloLens helmet to the soldiers, and eventually it won't make 8 out of 10 soldiers sick to their stomach within 5 minutes of putting it on.
But hey, that's actually based. We can reduce the amount of war crimes we do by incapacitating our war crimes doers.
Giving them all vertigo.
But if it makes the 2 out of 10 as efficient as the 10 out of 10, then
shell shocked from VR.
Yeah, so I was half joking, but definitely some US government involvement, especially with the Call of Duty games.
The last part of this I just want to bring up is that Microsoft is formally ending their Xbox Live Gold program and rolling it into Xbox Game Pass Core. First, I'd like to make fun of the people who said that the Sony system being tiered was confusing.
Yeah, right. I'm so confused by this. This is so baffling to me. Like, I do not understand.
This is infinitely worse than Sony's system.
People are convinced that there's a typo. that there's a typo in this graphic. That's why it's like the explanation that you were giving me. I'm like, Yeah, as written, that seems to be the case in which you can describe. But it's like the whole thing is like people were thinking like, yeah, that console, PC, and Ultimate Game Pass don't actually give you, or no, Ultimate does, but say console and PC Game Pass doesn't give you multiplayer.
Yes, on console. On PC, it's a completely different story because on PC you don't have to pay for internet access.
Yeah, that's completely different.
That's just part of paying for your internet.
But so the question is that it's like, yeah, how? So I don't understand, like, because you wouldn't buy core and console, so it's basically saying if a console shouldn't exist, it should just be core, PC, and Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, yes, but Xbox Game Pass console will still exist to rope the people who don't know how to do math and get them to get core and Game Pass console separately rather than through Ultimate.
True.
Because it's like the console version.
It's literally the only reason.
The console version is to have Game Pass, but it's
specifically
no more.
You
Xbox
don't want
Live
to play online, and all you want are single player games off Game Pass, because you can still play Game Pass without paying for core, just like you could play Game Pass without Live, but you lose access to cloud backups of your saves, the online multiplayer. Other than like free to play games, you could still play, but like that's my favorite part, though. They're getting rid of the monthly free games, which they've been trying to do for like 2 years now. Pretty sure they like tried to roll this out in 2021 and people threw like a bitch fit. We're like, you can't stop giving us our free monthly games that we pay for. So they've been like giving them like Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, like those types of tier games. But they've replaced
former
that
Flash
with,
player games.
Yeah.
There are some
with
decent games.
25 game catalog, similar to what the PS Plus collection was initially. There are some decent games in there.
There
Absolutely,
are some good
there
ones.
are some okay first party titles.
But then there's
Among Us.
There's Amogus,
which is a free to play phone game being thrown in there like it's something incredible and awesome of them to give you as part of this.
Among Us is $5. Okay.
Can you just fucking be grateful? Can you just fucking be grateful? Like, goddamn, they work so hard to bring this to us, and all you do is bitch.
Forza Horizon 3, Forza Horizon 4, Forza Motorsports,
Forza Horizon 5.
In this list, all you get is Forza Horizon 4. That's it. But you do get Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Faithful Anniversary.
There are some good games on there. But this is setting the standard that they no longer have
Psychonauts 2,
come up with games to give out for free. This is them.
Like,
and remember,
Grounded, I guess, is kind of new.
Remember where this all goes back to and starts with. Back in the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, Xbox originated the idea of paying for online multiplayer with Live.
I remember
and
that.
Gave you
that shit
free games
ridiculous.
As part of that, as an incentive to be like,
that was why you're paying. That was a major reason why I stuck with PlayStation, is that it didn't cost anything to fucking access internet.
Yeah. And then they went the Xbox model at some point.
So this is an example I'm using here of Microsoft flexing their financial arm to change a market into a different model, and then they have hit the point where they've dried out that market and are like, well, we can't do this anymore, so we're just gonna change no more monthly games because that's too hard for us. We've run out of shovelware to throw at people. They started to catch on when we kept giving them cut the rope console edition.
Cut the rope.
They've got one. They've got one here. They've got one here called
Sony's
Human Fall Flat.
Incredible month to month, but Sony has at least every year given me games that I've been pretty happy to take for the
each month. There's at least one that I snag.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was funny that they turned it into a tiered system and made it more confusing after all of their pundits made fun of the Sony system for being tiered and confusing.
No,
which it really wasn't that confusing.
No, it really wasn't.
It's clear as day. It's clear as day now in retrospect, compared to this.
Comparatively, I'm still confused.
Yeah. Congratulations, Microsoft. You're becoming your worst enemy.
And so if they had done the friends and family plan, if they because there's now no indication if that's going to come back. Because what they called that was the friends and family preview.
Yeah.
Because again, it was a trial. They were testing it out in some chosen markets. But it's like a group family pass for Ultimate was like under $25. So for like split amongst the four of us, that would have been a no-brainer. Yeah, currently I unsubscribed from PC Game Pass because there's just like hasn't been anything of remote interest. The last thing I played on it was Hi-Fi Rush, which was fucking January. So
I think I even made the statement on an earlier episode this year when they reverted the change to like Game Pass stacking. When you can no longer buy like a certain increment and stack them over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, "Oh, they're ending it on like X date, so I'm gonna go out and buy like 6 years of Game Pass right now and stack it." I was like, "Congratulations, dumbass! You played yourself."
Yeah.
I was like, you don't even know if in 6 years from now Game Pass will even fundamentally still exist as a service in the way you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has turned into some an interesting examination of Xbox, and
I was going to say me just for 20 minutes calling Xbox users dumbasses in various creative ways
in their whole ethos. But it's the story that I have for us does also have an Xbox connection. It is all surrounding some in what I would describe as manufactured drama surrounding Baldur's Gate 3 and its scope of the size of the game. Like a bunch of developers were voicing some complaints about gamers and about their expectations that basically it's classic Twitter stuff. Make a
problem out of nothing.
Make a guy get mad at said guy who does not exist. It's like they were basically criticizing a problem that has not arisen, because obviously this game has not fucking come out yet.
Because now there's going to be a developer out there who holds himself to this standard and can never reach it.
So like the headline is like why devs consider Baldur's Gate 3 an anomaly, not a new standard for RPG genre. Quote, it's Rockstar level nonsense for scope. And where does that quote come from? Because that was the one that was plastered everywhere. Rockstar level nonsense.
Yeah,
it comes from a Xbox dev. It comes from James Berg, a senior technical program manager for accessibility at Xbox. But so
that makes me feel good about Xbox's accessibility department.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like people are saying like, this is like not typical of game development, and CRPGs in general, are still so niche and do not have the level of resources and history and backing that Larian Studios does. And people are just like, no fucking shit. Like, like who the fuck are you talking to? It's like this is not a problem that people that's going to be that widespread. You're going to have of course some
they're
idiots.
Too experienced, so they need to dumb themselves down. They need to make standard meet everyone else's standard instead of raising a bar ever.
How dare they innovate?
So like there's this thread that started it off, but then someone responded, this whole thread, you can't be appalled about how much big games cost to make and make those lavish productions the standard by which all games are judged. I hope Baldur's Gate 3 is a generous once-in-a-lifetime RPG. I hope no one expects a 10, 20, 40-person team to make one. And it's just like, no fucking shit. Like I know what I'm getting when I support an indie studio.
Next time I'm watching the indie developer show at Summer Game Fest, when they're showing Bear and Breakfast 2, if it's not a 17,000 spiderweb ending.
But then you have actual AAA developers chiming in as well. Like those who have the same level of resources, if not more. Their point is like, oh, we don't have the creative control that you do. We're beholden to our corporate overlords. And that was like, who's normally a pretty based individual, Josh Sawyer, the Obsidian design director, who was recently on an episode of Chapo, which was good and I recommend. He's like, yeah, this is a great thread. The conditions under which Baldur's Gate 3 was made are atypical. This is no way a slight against the game or the people working on it who are clearly passionate and talented. Having the foundation set and the funding to build things on your own terms is invaluable. And it's like, yeah, that's true. And like other people are being like, yeah, this had a unusual, like this is also was bullshit. They're like, this has an unusual production schedule of like a 6-year production. And we're seeing that that's just not the case. That AAA games, which you would
it's almost starting to look like the 6-year production cycle is a pretty like good standard to go for.
Wasn't that just like wasn't that just a news piece that has just been out like in the past month as well as like that?
Tears of the Kingdom was a 6-year production.
Yeah, it's like you got to get used to a 5-year development cycle, 5-6-year development cycle, hundreds of millions of dollars, or in the case of fucking Grand Theft Auto 6, which is another thing I posted in the chat. It's like, yeah, a 10-year project costing over $2 billion. Which is just like,
so we're all
where is all that money going? It's like, what the fuck?
Just so we're all aware, GTA 6 costs roughly like 65% of what the entire New Haven Bridge overpass renovation project costs.
It's like,
yeah.
But $8 billion is a physically impossible number for the human brain to conceive of. It's like, how did they spend $2 billion on this? Like, how is that not just fundamental mismanagement? I don't guess that's that, but that's a
you see, the thing is they've invested all of that money, and then day one gamers are still going to be complaining about the female protagonist model and it being too woke because it's in Miami.
When you're gonna gross $1 billion in sales like the day it release,
yeah. Well, they can afford to do it.
Are we going to do an over under on launch day? Oh
my god!
I'm telling you, they're gonna make $1 billion in sales like in a week, and then online will gross them
and then
an absurd amount of money.
The next 10 years, when they don't release anything else, and they'll release 2 different remasters of it for 2 separate console generations
for the next 2.
Actually, no, because Microsoft will have bought them by then and will have turned it into a Game Pass model.
But circling back to Baldur's Gate and Larian, it's just like this whole, like, it was a discussion for several days online, which is, a feat in our current news cycle.
Yeah, man, this is old. I've moved on already.
But it's just like, I don't understand. It's like, again, these are problems that do not exist, and that criticisms that no real person is levying at them. It's like, Larian is not really AAA. They maybe are kind of more AA, and it's because they focus on CRPGs, which themselves are like still kind of, like I said, this kind of niche genre. But they have a studio with like 400 fucking people. Like, what the fuck? Of course they're more capable of putting something out. They've been in fucking early access for 3 goddamn years. Like, we know that this is something, unique, and like our expectations are, have a little bit more faith in gamers to, be able to analyze the production history of a particular product. It's like we
they've definitely never made any other games that have any other depth whatsoever to them. Divinity Original Sin 2 is an 8-hour single player story experience.
Well, that's what they're saying. It's like, it's like they're coming off the back of this. They have the tech and the knowledge based off of these previous experiences, and it's just like,
you're not supposed to build on your experience.
Yeah, and I just like, I have no patience for like the AAA devs, like the people from Insomniac, and even the Obsidian people, where it's just like they're covering their own asses, and it's just like
Insomniac also is like its own separate beast of like 6-year development cycle isn't like a thing for them. They seem to function in like a 4 to 3 year game development.
It's like there are these two aspects to this argument where it's like, yeah, nobody is expecting smaller studios to produce this. No one is expecting that. But then it's like the
studios who could meet this.
Yeah, they've jumped on this argument that is essentially
thou doth protest too much.
So that is true. That is true. But again, is an argument that no real person is making. To then be like, yo, yeah, us too. Ooh, we're just a small bean. We can't produce something anywhere near as complex as this.
You got to defend yourself before the allegations come out.
Our little, collectathon, copy paste content, can't nearly compete. And, we're constrained by our, with our creative efforts. We don't have the freedom that comes with being a Sony first party studio, in the billions of dollars that translates to in funding, over the course of our studio life. It's obscene on all counts. Like, it's like one I've just like taken to the point where anybody who's posting a thread on Twitter, sicko, don't follow, either mute or block them. It's like, I don't fucking need to hear your fucking shit.
Oh man, don't you know they're doing this now? Because once you get that blue check mark, you get that cash from Uncle Elon. that fat advertising revenue. First you got to pay him money, and then he'll pay you more money. It's like that Nigerian prince scheme where, you have to send them $50,000 that they can pay the fees to send you $1 million.
Yeah, it's just, this one was just like baffling to me. I loved still that the actual headline connection still comes from Xbox. That was the kicker for me.
Yeah, gotta lower expectations ahead of the for the future slot.
Sit there and say like, oh, 5 years from now, people are going to be like, oh, Laura, Microsoft's games don't meet the standard of Baldur's Gate 3. They're getting out ahead of it, saying we're not going to meet that standard. Don't expect us to.
Yeah.
We are going to make Redfall.
Take your slop.
Forever. That's all you're getting.
Redfall 2, Redfall 3, Redfall 1 remastered, Redfall 2 remake.
All right, folks. Well, I think that is going to do it for us today. Unless there was any other gaming news that you wanted to bring to our attention, or I know we had a bunch of little stories that we were playing around with, but I think those will make good fodder for our upcoming stream for Uncut Comrades, which you can follow us on twitch.tv/Campaign Comrades. We will be live this Tuesday, 7:30-ish seems to be our regular time, and we will be going over all these little fun stories that didn't quite make the cut for the podcast.
The first official congregation for the Church of Glorbo will be meeting next Sunday, 7 a.m. sharp.
You can send your tidings to my Venmo. And then I will make sure they get to Glorbo. I am the number one chief financial officer of the Church of Glorbo.
You're Glorbo's prophet. You speak.
He speaks through me.
Yeah, you're the mouthpiece for Glorbo. All praise Glorbo. All right. That'll be it for us. We will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Hey.
Bye.